Shadow the Hedgehog is a special game, and it deserves more credit than I've ever really given it. Now, I played this game back in 2005 or 6 on my PS2, and I absolutely adored it. And I think it hit that right age of, you know, between, say, 7 and 10, where you want to feel like you're older than you actually are. You've moved on from the cutesy Sonic Heroes or Mario 64, and you want to feel edgy. And then you get greeted by this intro of Shadow cocking a machine gun. I didn't realize that until my friend pointed it out, but he cocks a machine gun in the opening scene. You have the dark, heavy metal music. It's just grittier. It's really hardcore, and it hit me at a perfect time when I was a kid. And I absolutely adored the game back in the day. I played it so much. And this game is special because it really sets out to set itself apart from so many other platformers of the time. So earlier on in the year, I played Epic Mickey for the first time and Epic Mickey Rebrushed. And what I said about them games is that they are extremely unique. And yes, the Wii version doesn't get certain things right, but there's a special something about Epic Mickey in how it goes for kind of RPG-ish elements where you have choice and consequence in the different quests you do and how the levels pan out. And that is really interesting. And I thought it was like the only sort of 3D platformer that ever really did that. And I played a lot of Shadow when I was a kid, but I just didn't understand what was going on. I probably just ran through the levels, had some fun, and I absolutely loved it. But now I see that this game is very similar to Epic Mickey, and it did it way before Epic Mickey did. If you're enjoying the content and you want more chill, retro stuff, then please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. This is my final video of the year, so this will be the last chance to do it. I really appreciate all the support. So now let's talk about Shadow the Hedgehog on PS2. So if you don't know, Shadow the Hedgehog is a kind of typical Sonic game. You're sprinting through levels, you're going through loops, you're trying to be fast, but it's slightly slower, which is what I like. But the interesting thing that it does is that it's a very short game. There's only 7 stages in every run, so you can beat a run in 40-ish minutes, give or take, depending on what route you take. But what it does that's so unique and why it stands out now is that every single level has a good, neutral, and bad ending to it, and they all have different objectives in the level. And there's something strange, like over 300 different endings to the game. Now, I don't know how much they change. I did only do 3 runs of this game. But one run was like ending 1. The other run was ending 322. I forget what the third ending was. But there's that many endings to this game. And it's because you can go through this in any order you like. So the first level is Westopolis, which I played a lot of when I was a kid. I had a lot of fond memories of playing that level. And it has a good, neutral, and bad ending, which then branches off to 3 different levels. And each one of them levels has a good, neutral, and bad ending each. And then you can take loads of different routes. So I did a pure evil, a pure good, and then a neutral ending to the game. But halfway through, you can decide to do pure evil and then do a good ending of one level to kind of do this evil, neutral, good, or you can go pure neutral, and then at some point you can branch off to do neutral good or neutral bad, and you could even just go neutral, neutral, bad, bad, good, good, and then finish. It's so weird. And this is what I love about the PS2 era of Sonic games, is that they really tried to set these games apart from all the other ones. Like Sonic Heroes is one of my favorite PS2 games of all time. Apparently that game runs like absolute crap. And Shadow the Hedgehog on the PS2 runs absolutely awfully. And that is the reason why I didn't do more playthroughs, because seriously, even running in the 60 Hz mode on my CRT, it consistently drops below even, I would imagine, 20 FPS. It's really rough with a lot of slowdown, but it's just so cool that I played this game a lot when I was a kid. But I saw levels in my last 3 playthroughs that I didn't even know existed in this game. And there's still levels that I probably haven't ever played, and it makes it so interesting. I love when games create content that you mightn't always see, like the likes of Mass Effect or Dragon Age or these choice-based RPGs, where you can get locked out of whole sections, whole conversations, whole characters just because of choices you made. And when 3D platformers decide to do different things, just like Epic Mickey does with the whole sort of like good and bad ending to levels and how the world changes depending on your decisions, I just love it because there's so many 3D platformers. I've played so many of them. Jak, Ratchet, Mario, Croc, Toy, insert 3D platformer here. I've played almost every single one of them. And yes, they all have difference in level designs and philosophies and all what sort of game it wants to be. But at the end of the day, they're all fairly simple platformers. You are going from the start of the level to the end, collecting some stuff, whether you're doing it linearly like Crash Bandicoot or you're doing it in an open environment like Jak and Daxter. You know, that's how the games differ. But at the end of the day, you're basically just running from the start of the level to the end, doing some platforming, and that's it. But games like Epic Mickey and Shadow stand out above all of them. And I think this game has like a 45 on Metacritic, which, now, the performance is terrible, as I already touched, but I think 45 might be, you know, a bit harsh on the game, because it does do some interesting things. Now, the story is not something I've ever cared about. I don't care about the story in Sonic. I just find unlimited meme potential in all of these voice clips. I love that in one ending, Sonic is in the boss arena, and you can just shoot Sonic. Sonic runs at you, you have a gun, boom, shoot him, he's dead. He like goes invincible for a couple of seconds, and I'm like, what the hell? I could shoot Sonic. And that is something so unique about this game, because it genuinely is so strange. Shadow the Hedgehog is just such a cool character. I was introduced to him in Sonic Heroes, and I absolutely adored him. I much prefer him over Sonic. He's just cooler. Black and red, he has the cool shoes, he's dark and he's edgy, and it just hit me at the right time. And the fact that he has his own game that is just so dire. It's really dark, but then you get a couple of levels that are really bright, like you're going through the sky around Eggman's airship, and then there's also a level that you're going through almost like a theme park built by a lot of scrap. And in that level, the good ending was that I had to collect 400 rings, and I really, really enjoyed that level. It was really fun. Now, some of the endings can be kind of frustrating, because you do have to slink through a level and kill, say, 45 enemies, and odds are you probably will miss one or two. Now, there is like a checkpoint system where if you go to a checkpoint, you can teleport to any previous checkpoint that you've already found, so you can go through the levels, but it is kind of just a bit, you know, frustrating when you have 42 out of 45 enemies, and then you have to go through the whole level again just to find them. And there's definitely a wide range in the quality of the levels and the length of them. If you do the good or the bad endings, it usually prolongs the length of the level by, like, sometimes double, if not triple, or quadruple sometimes. Like, there was one level on the bad route where you have to go through this, like, dark cave filled with red goop, and at the end, there's basically, like, gates that you shouldn't have opened or closed if you want the bad ending earlier on in the level. And I got to the end after, no joke, about 20 minutes, and then I realized one of the gates was open, and I wasn't sure which button I switched, so then I had to go all the way back to the start and run through the level again really quickly, and that's just kind of annoying. But what I did find about taking the good and bad route on the levels is that a lot of them were quite fun. Again, there were some frustrating ones, but you really got to see the whole level. Like, I've always wanted Sonic to be a bit more explorative, and I know Sonic fans won't be happy about that. And this game definitely is a bit more explorative, where if you're doing the good or the bad endings, you usually have to actually explore the level and find 5 switches or kill 40 enemies. So you are taking your time a bit more. Now, it still has that 3D Sonic jank where the movement doesn't always feel amazing. Shadow does kind of feel a bit slippy. There's times where you'll just like collide with something and fly off the map, or you think you can do a homing attack to something and it won't lock on, you'll end up flying off the map. Now, that is just typical Sonic stuff, and I am used to it because I have played so many Sonic games, but that is just present in almost every single 3D Sonic, so you do just kind of get used to it, but it can certainly be frustrating. Now, the neutral path is definitely more boring. You basically just need to get to the ring at the end of the level like any other Sonic game. And here, you're not exploring the levels, you're not exactly taking them in because there's no real incentive to do so. You're basically just going from the start of the level to the end. And because this game isn't built for speed the way other Sonic games are, it's slower, it's a bit more methodical. The neutral path is honestly just kind of boring. Now, the plot of the neutral path is something I didn't even know that was going on. Basically, in this game, Black Doom is doing all this evil stuff. He's trying to destroy the city. And the good route is that eventually you go against him and you defeat him, or the bad route is you kind of side with him, take all the Chaos Emeralds and become evil. I'm pretty sure the good route is the sort of canonical route anyway. And then the neutral route is all about Eggman. Eggman is in a couple of the levels on the other routes that I did, but this is purely about defeating Eggman. And I wouldn't have ever seen this story. I never did. Almost all of these levels I don't even remember, even though I played this game a lot, which is mad. And yeah, this is a game that I think if they remade, they could make it into something really special. I can envision if this game was fully remade from the ground up and you had Shadow X Sonic Generations Shadow controls, it would feel amazing to play. There would still have to be a couple of things that you'd have to tweak. I think maybe like a map for some of the levels and maybe highlights to where the enemies are when you have to try find them, or just general quality of life improvements with stuff like that, finding objectives and levels, because some of them can be kind of annoying, not overly frustrating, but just kind of annoying. And then obviously get the game running at 60 FPS. I don't know the exact technical specs of what the GameCube version runs like. I would presume it runs at a locked 60 FPS like Sonic Heroes apparently does on the GameCube. I've never played it on the GameCube. I just wanted to play it on the PS2 because it's the version I have nostalgia for. And even if that nostalgia will get muddied because of, no joke, the game running at below 20 frames per second, it's really rough. I hope the footage of the CRT can show how rough it gets, because it is genuinely awful. But I still did manage to beat it 3 times, and there's something so nostalgic about this game for me. So recently I got a Sony Trinitron. I'm holding it for my friend for a while until he takes it back. It's a 29-inch CRT. It weighs 50 kilos, which is that like 120 pounds or something like that for all you Americans out there, give or take, I think, if that's the right conversion. It was really heavy, but it looks unbelievable, and playing it off it is amazing. And there's just something special about this time of year. I mean, if you celebrate Christmas, just gaming on Christmas, specifically this whole nostalgic side of gaming on Christmas. Like earlier, just before I was about to record this video, I played a small bit more Shadow, and I'm playing in my armchair that was in my parents' house when I grew up. Like, it was bought the year I was born, and it's still going, it's still in great nick. I was playing in that armchair, I was playing on an old CRT, I was playing it on the PS2. It's Christmas time. I was smelling like a cinnamon candle. It was just perfect, like unbelievable. Even though this game runs at 20 FPS and is can be frustrating at times, I had a really fun time playing it, and I'm so glad that I did finally get to go back to this game, because it has a lot of ideas that are really, really cool. And if you've made it this far, I just want to say a little thank you for all the support this year. If this is your first video, if this is your 60th video, I don't know how many videos I have on this channel, I appreciate all the support. So I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you want to share this around, maybe tell your friends about it. If they're into retro stuff, then that would be greatly appreciated. If not, I appreciate all the support. Join the channel members down below. I have a video about Sonic X Shadow Generations on the channel if you want to watch it, because that game was absolutely fantastic. Now, this is the final video of this year. I'm going to take a 2-week break. I will be back in early January, probably to talk about Wallace and Gromit, because I fucking love Wallace and Gromit. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next year. Goodbye.